Imagine living in a way where other people's words no longer disturb you, where unexpected problems do not steal your calm, where even stressful situations fail to shake your inner balance. This kind of peace is not something reserved for monks or spiritual masters. It is a skill the Buddha taught more than 2,500 years ago. Most people never learn these habits, which is why their peace disappears so easily. But once you understand them, something changes. In this video, we explore 7 powerful Buddhist habits that help you develop an unshakable mind and protect your inner peace in a chaotic world. Listen closely, because these habits may change the way you respond to life forever. Habit 1. Stop trying to control everything. The first habit that protects your peace is simple to understand, but deeply difficult to practice. Stop trying to control everything. Much of the stress people carry every day comes from one quiet belief: that life should unfold according to their expectations. You expect people to behave a certain way. You expect plans to go smoothly. You expect the future to look the way you imagined it. And when reality moves differently, the mind reacts with frustration. But the Buddha taught something profoundly freeing. Suffering often arises not from events themselves, but from our resistance to them. The mind says, "This shouldn't be happening," yet life continues to unfold. Peace begins the moment you stop arguing with reality. This does not mean becoming passive or careless. It simply means understanding the difference between what you can influence and what you cannot. You can influence your actions. You can influence your words. You can influence how you respond. But you cannot control every outcome. You cannot control the weather of the world. When you try, the mind becomes exhausted. Think about how much energy is spent worrying about things that may never happen. The mind imagines problems before they exist. It rehearses conversations that may never occur. It builds entire stories about the future. And all the while, the present moment quietly disappears. In Buddhism, this habit of mental grasping is called attachment. The mind clings to an image of how things should be, but life is constantly changing. People change, circumstances change, even your own thoughts change. When you resist this natural movement, tension appears. But when you allow life to unfold while focusing on what you can actually do, the mind softens. A useful question to ask yourself in difficult moments is this: is this something I can control right now? If the answer is yes, then act with clarity. If the answer is no, then practice letting go. Letting go does not mean indifference. It means releasing unnecessary suffering. Imagine carrying a heavy bag everywhere you go. Eventually, your shoulders ache. Your body grows tired. Yet many people carry the mental equivalent of this weight every day. Expectations, control, the need for certainty. The moment you set that weight down, something remarkable happens. Space appears in the mind. Breathing becomes easier. Your reactions slow down. You begin to notice that peace was not missing. It was simply buried under resistance. This habit alone can transform how you experience life. Because when you stop demanding that everything unfold perfectly, you discover something surprising. Most moments are already enough, and the mind that accepts reality becomes much harder to disturb. Habit 2. Guard what enters your mind. The second habit that protects your peace is rarely discussed, yet it shapes your inner world every day. Guard what enters your mind. Your mind is not just a thinking machine. It is a garden. Whatever you allow to enter repeatedly will eventually grow. Every conversation you listen to, every piece of news you consume, every opinion you scroll past. These impressions leave traces in the mind. Most people are careful about what they eat, but careless about what they mentally consume. Yet the mind digests information in the same way the body digests food. If you constantly feed it anger, comparison, fear, and outrage, the emotional atmosphere of your mind slowly begins to mirror those qualities. This is why you may sometimes feel restless or anxious without knowing why. It is not always because something is wrong in your life. Sometimes it is because the mind has absorbed too much noise. The Buddha spoke often about sense restraint, not as restriction, but as protection. Imagine leaving the doors and windows of your home open during a storm. Eventually, the wind and rain will enter. But when you close the windows, the inside remains calm, even while the storm continues outside. Your attention works the same way. If you allow every piece of negativity to enter your awareness, the mind becomes crowded and unstable. But when you become selective, clarity returns. This does not mean ignoring the world or pretending difficulties do not exist. It simply means becoming intentional. Ask yourself, does this information bring understanding, or does it only create agitation? Does this conversation nourish my mind, or does it drain my energy? Peaceful people are not lucky. They are selective. They understand that attention is one of the most valuable forms of energy they possess. Every moment you spend feeding the mind something destructive is a moment taken away from calm awareness. This is why many Buddhist teachings encourage periods of silence, mindful breathing, and simple observation. These practices cleanse the mind of excess input. Imagine sitting quietly for a few minutes without looking at a screen, without listening to opinions, without reacting to anything. At first, the mind may feel restless, but slowly it begins to settle, just like water that becomes clear when left undisturbed. Peace grows naturally when the mind is not constantly overstimulated. So today, begin noticing what you allow into your mental space. Notice the voices you listen to. Notice the information you absorb. Notice the emotional tone of what surrounds you. You do not have to disconnect from the world. You simply learn to choose wisely, because the mind you protect becomes the mind that protects your peace. Habit 3. Do not take things personally. The third habit that protects your peace is one that the Buddha returned to again and again in different forms. Do not take everything personally. This may sound simple, but in daily life it is one of the most difficult practices. Someone speaks harshly to you. Someone ignores your message. Someone criticizes your work. And immediately the mind reacts. What did I do wrong? Why are they treating me this way? Maybe they don't respect me. Without realizing it, the mind builds a story where you become the center of the problem. But Buddhist wisdom invites you to look deeper. Every person you meet is carrying an invisible world inside them. Their fears, their past experiences, their frustrations, their expectations, their unresolved pain. Most of the time, when people act negatively, it has far more to do with their inner struggles than with you. But the mind rarely sees this clearly. Instead, it personalizes everything. The Buddha taught that much suffering arises from what we call self-view, the habit of constantly interpreting events as something happening to me. When someone is impatient, the mind says, "They are disrespecting me." When someone disagrees, the mind says, "They are attacking my identity." When someone is distant, the mind says, "They must not care about me." Yet many times none of these stories are true. The other person may simply be tired, they may be stressed, they may be lost in their own worries, or they may simply see the world differently. When you learn not to personalize every interaction, something remarkable happens. Your emotional stability increases. The mind becomes less reactive. You stop carrying unnecessary weight. Think about how much energy is spent replaying conversations in your mind. You analyze tone, you analyze words, you analyze expressions, and sometimes you continue this mental replay for hours or even days, but the other person has already moved on. The suffering continues only in your mind. The Buddha compared this habit to picking up a burning coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. Before the coal ever leaves your hand, it burns you first. When you take things personally, you hold on to emotional heat that harms your own peace. Learning to release this habit is not about becoming indifferent. It is about understanding human nature. People speak from their level of awareness. They act from their level of pain. They respond from their level of understanding. When you see this clearly, compassion begins to replace irritation. You start asking a different question. Instead of asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" you begin asking, "What might this person be going through?" This shift changes everything. It softens your reactions. It prevents unnecessary conflict. It keeps your mind balanced, and sometimes it allows you to respond with patience instead of defensiveness. This habit becomes especially powerful when dealing with criticism. Criticism often feels like a personal attack. But if you listen carefully, there are usually two possibilities. Either the criticism contains some truth that can help you grow, or it reflects the other person's frustration. If it contains truth, you learn from it. If it does not, you simply let it pass. In both cases, your peace remains intact. Imagine how much lighter life becomes when you no longer carry every opinion about you. Imagine hearing criticism without collapsing into self-doubt. Imagine encountering negativity without absorbing it. This is what emotional freedom begins to look like. The Buddha did not promise that people would always treat you kindly, but he did teach that your peace does not have to depend on their behavior. When you stop taking everything personally, you stop giving others control over your emotional state. And slowly, a quiet strength begins to grow inside you. Habit 4. Slow down the mind before it runs away. The fourth habit that protects your peace is learning to slow down the mind. Most suffering does not come from events themselves. It comes from the speed of our thinking. A single small problem appears. Within seconds, the mind begins building stories. What if this goes wrong? What if everything falls apart? What if this leads to something worse? Before long, the mind has created an entire chain of imagined disasters, yet none of them have happened. The Buddha observed this tendency of the mind thousands of years ago. He noticed that when awareness is weak, thoughts multiply rapidly. One thought becomes 10, 10 thoughts become 100. Soon the mind feels overwhelmed by problems that exist only in imagination. This is why mindfulness is such a central practice in Buddhism. Mindfulness slows the mind down. It brings attention back to what is actually happening right now, not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Consider how many times anxiety begins with a thought about the future. You imagine a difficult conversation. You imagine failure. You imagine embarrassment. You imagine losing something important. These thoughts trigger emotional reactions in the body. Your heart beats faster. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your muscles tense. Yet the situation you fear has not even happened. The mind has simply traveled too far ahead. Slowing the mind means learning to interrupt this pattern. When you notice your thoughts racing, pause for a moment. Take a slow breath. Feel the air entering your body. Feel it leaving again. Then gently bring your attention back to what is directly in front of you. The chair you are sitting on, the sounds around you, the sensation of breathing. These simple observations may seem small, but they anchor the mind in the present moment. And in the present moment, most of the fears created by imagination disappear. The Buddha often reminded his students that the mind is like a wild elephant. If left untrained, it runs wherever it wants. But when it is gently guided, it becomes calm and powerful. Mindfulness is that gentle guidance. It is not about suppressing thoughts. It is about noticing them before they carry you away. When the mind slows down, clarity appears. You begin seeing problems more realistically. You respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. You stop feeding unnecessary worry. This habit is especially important in the modern world. Today, people are surrounded by constant stimulation, notifications, deadlines, news, endless streams of information. All of this keeps the mind in a state of constant activity. Many people have forgotten what mental stillness feels like. But stillness is not something you need to create. It is something that appears when thinking slows down. Imagine looking into a lake during a storm. The water is restless. The surface is chaotic. You cannot see anything beneath it. But when the wind stops, the water becomes clear. You can see deep into it. The mind works the same way. When thoughts slow down, understanding deepens. You begin to notice patterns in your emotions. You recognize habits that create stress. You see solutions more clearly. Most importantly, you discover that peace was always present underneath the noise. It was simply hidden by the speed of your thinking. Slowing the mind is not about withdrawing from life. It is about engaging with life more consciously. When your thoughts are calm, your words become more thoughtful. Your decisions become wiser. Your presence becomes steady. People around you begin to feel that calm as well. Peaceful minds create peaceful environments. So throughout your day, practice small moments of pause. One breath before responding. One breath before reacting. One breath before judging. These pauses may seem tiny, but over time they train the mind to remain stable, and the mind that moves slowly is far less likely to lose its peace. Habit 5. Learn the quiet strength of letting go. The fifth habit that protects your peace is one of the most powerful teachings in Buddhist wisdom. Learn the quiet strength of letting go. Many people think peace comes from gaining more control, more success, more certainty. But the Buddha taught something very different. Much of our suffering comes not from what we lack, but from what we refuse to release. We hold on to past mistakes. We hold on to resentment. We hold on to the image of how life was supposed to unfold. And slowly, the mind becomes heavy. Think about how often the past returns during quiet moments. A conversation from years ago, a decision you regret, a moment when someone hurt you. The mind replays it again and again, as if repeating the memory might somehow change the outcome. But the past does not move. Only the mind keeps visiting it. This is why letting go is not weakness. It is wisdom. Letting go does not mean pretending something never happened. It means recognizing that holding on to the pain does not heal it. It only extends it. Imagine holding a rope tied to a painful memory. Every time you replay the story, you pull the rope tighter. The tension remains in your body and mind. But the moment you release the rope, the tension disappears. The memory may still exist, but it no longer controls your peace. In Buddhism, attachment is often described as the root of suffering. The mind clings to experiences, identities, and expectations, believing that holding on will create stability. Yet life is constantly moving. The tighter we grip, the more painful the movement becomes. Peace begins when you understand that some things are simply not meant to be carried forever. Resentment, for example, is one of the heaviest burdens the mind can hold. When someone hurts you, anger may arise naturally. But when anger is held for years, it slowly poisons the one carrying it. The Buddha once compared resentment to drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. But the poison only harms the one who refuses to release it. Letting go does not mean excusing harmful behavior. It means refusing to let that behavior continue harming your inner world. You choose freedom over resentment. You choose peace over endless mental replay. This habit also applies to expectations. Sometimes the mind becomes attached to a very specific vision of how life should unfold. A career path, a relationship, a future plan. When reality moves in a different direction, the mind feels broken. But often, the pain comes not from what happened, but from the gap between reality and expectation. When you loosen your grip on rigid expectations, life becomes lighter. You become more flexible, more resilient, more open to possibilities you never imagined. Letting go is also essential in relationships. People change, situations change. Sometimes the person you once knew becomes someone different. If you cling to the old version of them, you suffer. But if you allow change to exist without resistance, you create space for understanding. The Buddha taught that everything in life is impermanent. Thoughts change, emotions change, circumstances change. Even the identities we carry shift over time. When you truly understand this, you stop trying to freeze life in place. Instead, you move with it. You learn when to hold something gently and when to release it. This habit does not develop overnight. The mind naturally wants to grasp. It wants certainty. It wants control. But each time you notice yourself clinging to something painful, you can practice asking one simple question. Is holding on to this helping my peace? If the answer is no, you gently begin the process of letting go. Sometimes it happens quickly, sometimes it takes time, but every small release creates space in the mind, and in that space something new appears. Lightness, clarity, freedom. When you master the habit of letting go, you stop carrying unnecessary weight through life. Your mind becomes more spacious, your heart becomes softer, and the peace you discover no longer depends on perfect circumstances. It comes from the quiet understanding that you are free to release what no longer serves you. Habit 6. Stop feeding the ego. The sixth habit that protects your peace is learning to see through one of the mind's most subtle illusions. Stop feeding the ego. In Buddhism, the ego is not simply arrogance or pride. It is the constant mental habit of building a solid identity around the idea of me and mine. My reputation, my success, my image, my opinions. When this sense of identity becomes too rigid, the mind becomes extremely fragile. Even small events begin to feel threatening. Someone disagrees with you, and it feels like an attack. Someone receives recognition instead of you, and jealousy appears. Someone misunderstands you, and the mind immediately wants to defend itself. The ego constantly searches for validation. It wants approval. It wants to be seen as important. And when that approval is missing, the mind feels restless. But the Buddha observed that the ego is not a stable thing. It is simply a collection of thoughts, memories, and labels the mind clings to. Yet we defend these labels as if they were our true self. Think about how much energy is spent trying to maintain a certain image. People worry about what others think. They replay conversations, wondering if they sounded intelligent enough. They compare their achievements with those around them. All of this creates constant tension because the ego is always measuring, always competing, always protecting its position. Peace becomes difficult when the mind is trapped in this cycle. The moment you stop feeding the ego, something interesting happens. Many of the conflicts that once felt personal lose their power. If someone criticizes you, the mind no longer reacts with the same intensity. If someone else succeeds, you no longer feel threatened. If someone misunderstands you, you no longer feel the urgent need to prove yourself. This is because the ego is no longer the center of your attention. Instead of asking, "How does this affect me?" you begin asking, "What is actually happening here?" This shift creates emotional freedom. The Buddha often encouraged humility, not because it made someone morally superior, but because it protected the mind from unnecessary suffering. Humility softens the ego. It reminds you that everyone is learning, everyone is imperfect, everyone is moving through life with limited understanding. When you release the need to appear perfect, you become more relaxed. You can admit mistakes without shame. You can listen to different perspectives without feeling threatened. You can grow without feeling defensive. Another way to weaken the ego is through simple awareness. Notice how often the mind seeks validation. Notice how often it compares. Notice how quickly it reacts when its image feels challenged. You do not need to fight these reactions. Simply observing them begins to loosen their grip. The ego thrives on unconscious habits, but awareness brings light into those patterns. Over time, you begin to experience life with less self-centered tension. You become more curious about others, more open to learning, more interested in understanding rather than proving. This does not make you weak. In fact, it makes your mind far more stable. Because when your identity is not constantly under threat, the mind relaxes. Peace becomes natural. You no longer feel the need to win every argument. You no longer feel the need to impress everyone. You no longer measure your worth through comparison. Instead, you simply live. You act with sincerity. You speak with honesty. You listen with openness. And something beautiful begins to grow. A quiet confidence that does not need applause. A calm presence that does not depend on status. a peace that cannot easily be disturbed by the opinions of others. This is the freedom that appears when the ego is no longer running the mind. And once you experience this freedom, you realize something profound. Your peace was never meant to depend on protecting an image. It was meant to come from knowing who you are beyond it. Habit 7. Return to the present moment, again and again. The seventh habit that protects your peace is the most essential of all. Return to the present moment, again and again. Many people search for peace in the future. They believe calm will arrive once life becomes easier, once problems disappear, once everything finally feels stable. But the Buddha taught that peace is never found in the future. It is always discovered in the present moment, yet the mind rarely stays here. It moves constantly between past and future. It revisits old regrets. It replays painful memories. It imagines conversations that have not happened yet. It worries about situations that may never occur. And while all this mental movement is happening, the present moment quietly passes by unnoticed. This is where peace actually lives, right here, in the breath you are taking now, in the simple awareness of being alive. But when the mind is lost in time, it cannot feel this. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed. Most likely, your mind was not dealing with a single moment. It was carrying many imagined moments all at once. The mind was thinking about tomorrow's problems, yesterday's mistakes, and today's responsibilities simultaneously. No mind can feel peaceful under that weight. This is why mindfulness is at the heart of Buddhist practice. Mindfulness means returning to what is happening now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. You can practice this in very simple ways. When you breathe, notice the breath entering your body. Notice it leaving again. When you walk, feel the contact between your feet and the ground. When you eat, taste the food instead of rushing through the moment. These small acts may seem ordinary, but they bring the mind back to reality. And reality, in most moments, is much quieter than the stories the mind creates. Right now, in this moment, you may simply be sitting, breathing, listening. Nothing urgent is happening. Nothing dangerous is present. The mind becomes peaceful when it recognizes this. Returning to the present does not mean ignoring responsibilities or avoiding planning. It simply means not living everywhere at once. When it is time to work, you work. When it is time to rest, you rest. When it is time to listen, you listen. Your attention stays with the moment instead of scattering across time. Over time, this habit changes your entire relationship with life. Small moments begin to feel meaningful again. You notice beauty more easily. You respond to challenges with greater clarity. And most importantly, your peace stops depending on perfect circumstances, because the present moment is always available. No matter where you are, no matter what is happening around you. Whenever the mind becomes restless, you can return here. One breath, one moment, one step, again and again. And eventually, you discover something the Buddha understood long ago. Peace was never far away. The mind was simply looking everywhere except the place where it already existed. Inner peace is not something the world decides for you. It grows quietly through the habits you practice each day. The more you train your mind, the less power circumstances have over your calm. Begin with one habit, return to it tomorrow, and let your peace grow slowly and naturally.